Committing to a project that you initially found to be like really fulfilling, you thought the creative was great, the director was great. Maybe it's the first time you're working with the
Mhm,
director, but
mhm.
you get to the scout or you get to the project and things just aren't aligning. Your suggestions aren't hitting with the director. How do you balance your process and what you want and what you feel that you need to be successful versus what the director is pushing for?
Right. Yeah. So what I do and also strongly advise others is you need to ensure you're on the same page with the director as soon as, again, like I said, sometimes you might be brought onto a project because you have a specific source. So the director might trust you. If you say green, they will do green. If you tell them we should shoot this on an 18 mil, they'll be like, yes. And there are directors who are incredibly strong in creating the sandbox. Like
Mm,
they don't need me to tell them I want a green wall or like whatever. And I think directors like Rain Alan Miller, who I work with all the time, has such a strong aesthetic. Even Solomon has a strong aesthetic.
yes.
I don't need to tell someone let's paint that wall green. He has a strong enough aesthetic that
Yeah.
I trust you. I'll just come into your sandbox and do my thing. And then you have directors who don't have that distinct and unique sandbox and kind of maybe, need some help. Or maybe it's not that they have a sandbox, maybe it's not your sandbox.
Mm,
Maybe your approach to that particular project, you want to try something else. So what I always do is I open up Google Slides and I start putting imagery on references, gifs, and I make notes, and then I send this to them and say, hey, here's what I'm thinking. For this shot in the storyboard, oh, why don't we try this angle? I like this lighting reference. What do you think? So before you get on set, they at least know what you want to do. And then you send it to them and they can say, nah, this is whack. No, this is
mm,
what I want to do. They will say, I like this reference, maybe not that one. So at least before you get on set, you know what their dark means. They know what your bright means. You know, if you've said to them, I think, this, sometimes I will make a reference and be like, I will make a note that what I love about this reference is what they've done with the wall, this
mm.
kind of color. Is there something we can do? So at least they know that here are your thoughts. And, before you get on set, they would have said, hey, actually, we don't have, money for our department, or we might not be able to paint the walls. So at least you have that understanding. So yeah, I will send this um, um, uh, almost kind of like reference document, which would be the equivalent of what people will ask you to do when you're auditioning, pitching for a feature. When a director will
Mm,
say, "Hey, here's my script. Let's have a meeting," and then you have to go away and put together like a deck. So
right.
I'm putting together, in commercials, I'm putting together a deck of my interpretation of what I would like to do, what I want to bring to the
Mm,
table, because that's why you're hired. You're hired to bring
absolutely.
something to the table. And then I send this to them, and then they can either say I like it or I don't. So at least then you're on the same page before you get on set.
Mm,
Like I said, what dark is for them, what's bright is for them, what's an interesting angle. They might be like, I don't like high wide angle thing that everyone's doing at the moment. I like, more telephoto stuff. So when
mm.
you then lens up, you're doing things how they would like to do things, and then you sprinkle your own kind of like thing.
Little
So, they
flavor.
might be like, I only like shooting things on a 40 mil. Okay, you stick the 40 mil on, but I mean, you can add your filtration. You can shoot it at like 2.8. You can shoot it at like 5.6. You can
Mm,
play with like your ISO. You can have a lot. There's still places for you to inflex outside of like the sandbox they've given you. So just because
right.
they've told you don't shoot on a 20 mil doesn't mean actually, well, I can't do anything. There's so many other things as a DP you bring to the table outside of like the lens. And
Mm,
if they tell you, here's how I want you to light it, that means you get to choose the lensing. Sometimes the director will be like, oh, can we use some vintage lenses? And that doesn't mean you have to use like a vintage lens. I mean, you can show them a test that you've done. Actually, I shot this on master primes, but I use this filtration, or I put like film box on it, and this looks
Yeah.
more interesting rather than caging yourself to unless you like vintage lenses, caging yourself to a vintage lens that's not sharp
Right.
unless you're shooting at T4 or at some crazy vignette, and then they'll be asking you, bro, why is there a vignette? Oh, why is it not sharp? So I think you need to still understand
Mm.
that, as a DP, you have to protect the image. And that means, okay, you want like something that feels soft. Okay, we can do it with filtration, or we can do it with like, this lot. So yeah, you still bring a lot to the table, even though director is giving you like a sandbox to play with.
Mm. You don't have to take too long on this answer, but you brought up Solomon, and I interviewed him for this
Hmm.
podcast. I did it in
Hmm.
person in Brooklyn, and
Nice.
he was one of the most fascinating people that I've ever talked to, and his
Mm,
brain works in such a unique,
mm,
fast-paced way.
mhm.
What was it like working with him? Just honestly, like on a personal level, like looking at his work, I've looked up to his work for years. And like
Yeah.
I saw that he put something up and I saw that you were shooting and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy."
Yeah, no, no, it is crazy, and like yourself and like the rest of the world, uh, I think people label Solomon as a director's director, meaning other directors look at him and go, I want to create the kind of work this guy is creating because it seems like he's getting to create stuff he wants to make, right? Um, and I've been a fan of his, for God knows like how long. And what's quite interesting is the job I'm currently doing. The producer was producing a music video for Solomon in 2018. I think it
Mm.
was his young father's
Mhm.
video, the one with the kids. And I actually don't recall sending this email, but she showed me this email. She's like, I was going through our emails, and there was an email. I think Salman probably posted that he was looking for PAs for this music video because it was shot in London. So he was in London. So he posted that maybe he was looking for PAs, and that emailed this producer to say, hey, I've just kind of messaged Salman, and can you send me the postcode or the address for this shoot on like Saturday, which he never responded.
Yeah.
And we're kind of laughing at it that like I could have met Solomon in
Right,
2018, but
right.
you kind of took my dreams away. Um, so that was 2018. Me wanting to PA, I just wanted to meet this guy, like because in my head it's like, "Man, this guy is amazing." So
Yeah.
that was 2018. She didn't respond, whatever. But in 2020, I got an email from a producer who I'd worked with, and she was like, "There's a music video. Like the budget isn't great. Like Solomon." I'm like, "What the fuck? What? Solomon wants to shoot with me?" This was 2021. But I was in a feature then. I was shooting Rylane
Mm.
then. So I mean, I'm on a feature. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't. But it was like, damn, like
It's one of those moments you
Solomon.
were saying earlier.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like there's nothing I can do. So I'm like, damn. So that was that. That was the first time. Then the second time was the same year. So the music video was, I think, around March 2021. In September 21, he was shooting this commercial. I think it was like a 5-day commercial. So this EP and this production company, who I think I'd done a job with maybe like a month before that, emails my agents like, "Yo, like, gotta get Olan on." And as not even luck would have it, as fate would have it, I was shooting a commercial that clashed on one of the days.
Oh,
So he
man.
was shooting a 5-day commercial. I think I was shooting like a 3-day commercial. And on his last day, I wasn't available. So I remember like hitting him up like, "Yo, someone, it would be great to work with you. Can I do like 4? I think it was a 6-day. Can I do like 5 days and I can get someone else to kind of like, shoot the last day?" I was like, "No, it's like, the schedule is kind of like mental, and they kind of need someone who can do it
Yeah.
all.
Oh, man.
And I think my agent might have like said something like, "Oh, should we tell the other job you're on, like, if they can shift their." I know that's mad disrespectful, man. Like, imagine you're a director and your DP
I
is
know.
asking you to change your schedule so it can go shoot with some other director. I'm like, you can't do that. Like, it is what it is. And again, second time, I don't know. So that
Oh,
was the second time.
man.
It's like, damn, that was 2021. Then 2022 July, that's when the KR pencil came, and I'm like, third
Yeah.
time, I'm like, I gotta go. Because I had another pencil with actually a friend of mine who I think I'd wanted to talk to the friend and said, hey, let's start prepping this job. But the friend was like, hey, I haven't won this pitch yet, so I don't want to talk about it. Let's talk when the job gets awarded. So I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. Then the Salomon pencil came in, and I was like, I gotta go. So I didn't
Yeah.
feel guilt because I tried to talk to this guy, like,
Mhm.
hey, let's break this down. He's like, oh, no, let's talk. So I said yes to the Salomon job, and my mate was like, he just screenshotted the email from my agent that, oh, Olan is no longer available, and was like, oh, what is this? I'm like, sorry, I gotta go. Which it was third time. I'm like, no, and it just felt like a dream project. It was a car job, shooting on 35
It
mil.
was
I think it was
amazing.
like
It
seven
was
days.
amazing.
I'm like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Nothing's gonna stop me from. So that's kind of like my Solomon story in terms of it's someone who I really looked up to, and the fact that he'd tried twice. And that's what I was kind of saying to you, that if something is meant to be, it will happen.
I
Like,
love that. Yeah, I love that. Thanks for bringing that back.
the first
100%.
two times it didn't work out, and I was like, damn, like, is this ever gonna happen? And it's happened. And, we've worked together again, and it's like, don't like beat yourself up, or don't sacrifice something you don't need to. Like, that opportunity will come around if it's meant to be. And if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. Or something bigger is kind of around the corner. So yeah,